Hi everyone, and welcome back for the security group video of AWS. If you remember in the last video, I discussed the security group that we have already configured for my own work. So I thought it would be good to give you an idea of what security groups are and how they work for any machines that we used in our AWS, or I would say the compute services which are based on the instances. Now, security groups you can imagine, because we looked at the route table that defined the route, so that we relay the communication from one point to another and to direct the traffic, and without that the traffic doesn't know where it needs to go from where to where. But then we have another, I would say, security layer that will even secure our resources on the last level, and which actually help us to control the traffic at the very last moment, whether it's going to enter into the resource or not. So for example, I can restrict the traffic. So for example, imagine I have a house with multiple gates and I can only allow some traffic on some doors, and the other ones remain closed, right? So these are that's the analogy I generally use to explain the security groups, right? So the traffic, or so the people, they know that they can only enter from those doors. The all other doors are going to be closed. Although we have those doors, these doors we normally call in technical term as ports. And the best practice, which beside AWS all cloud vendors follow, they deny traffic on all the ports. So by default, every port is going to be closed until unless you open them up in your infrastructure. And that's where the security groups comes into the picture, that they will help you to actually put those rules that will allow the incoming traffic or outgoing traffic, which we generally call inbound and outbound. So inbound, the external traffic which is reaching to your instance or machine, and outbound, which is generating from your machine and going towards the outside world, right? So in order to define these two type of rules, we generally use security groups, and that these are all consist of rules that will allow the communication happening from these ports, right? So in this video, I'm just going to show you how we can create the rules and how we can attach the security group. So let's go. My instance is shut it down. I think last time I shut it down. So let me quickly start it. And meanwhile, it's pretty quick. The instance has been started, but just remember, sometimes it's very deceptive. Like we can see the message and thought the instance has started, but keep an eye on the instance state, because you can see it is showing the instance state is pending. That means it is booting up. It's not the command has been submitted successfully. The process has been initiated, so the started process, but it doesn't start yet, right? So we need to wait until unless this state say, yeah, it's up and running and it's ready to go. Now, meanwhile, while it's we are spinning up our instance, what I'm gonna do, let me quickly go to security group. We can go to the security groups in here as well. So if I just scroll down on the left side, we can see under the network and security, we have the security group. So if you click on your security group, you're gonna see lots and lots of security groups in the professional environment. So you can search your security group by tag. So for example, I want to see what security group has been attached to my web server, and I know my web server is in the public subnet, so it will automatically allow the internet traffic on it, right? So now let me see what I have actually created in my security group that have attached to the web server. So you can see I have attached, I have allowed the SSH communication, and you can see that communication is happening on port number 22. So we have the opportunity, we can even restrict the IP range as well, that okay, which IP can use to connect to my resource and at which port, right? So but at the moment, because I'm not considered as a dev environment, so I'm allowing channels or connection from everywhere, right? The second thing, I'm allowing the HTTP on port 80. Now remember, if someone try to use the 443, it might not reach out to my instance because I haven't actually allowed that port. So let's wait. So that's the whole concept of security group, we're going to actually, what I'm going to do, I'm going to show you in a moment, once my instance is up and running, how we can control the communication or the security through the security group. Let me just open it in another window to just see whether my instance is up and running or not. Yeah, my instance is running, and now you can see the second thing I need to wait is to when it is initializing the status check, right? Because that's something it needs to do. And last time, if you remember, I mentioned that you need to wait till it initialize the status check, and we actually do the two checks, and the both need to be passed before we connect to our instance. And just to show you, meanwhile, I can go and I can copy the public IP4 address, and I can try to connect to my instance. And because I have already allowed on my security group, the port 22 is open for accepting the connections. All I need to select my private key, which I have actually created at the time of the creation of this instance. And using the private key, the best thing that we don't need to use the password. So you don't need to worry about your password is going to be stolen or your password is going to be compromised. All you need your private key, and it will allow you to connect to your instance. All right, yeah, it's not in my cache, so I'm going to EC2 user. Let's see. Yeah, we are able to connect, right? So if I just come in here, I believe the status check is going to. Okay, so that means we can go ahead while it is doing this status check, which is good. So we are now back into our Linux environment, right? And that's the EC2 machine. And if you remember, last time we have installed a couple of packages in the Python, and we have seen that this machine is able to communicate to the internet. Now, what I'm going to show you as part of this demo, let me go back to my security group, and for somehow I don't need the SSH communication to this machine, so I'm just going to delete that part. Right, and I'm going to save it. So now the only traffic which is allowed to my machine is through the HTTP, right? So let's see what's going to happen. As soon as you save it, and if I come back and try to run any command, so you can see it is affected immediately. So the security groups, whatever change you apply, they are the impact of them is immediate. Now I'm unable to run any command. My instance is gone, right? And you can see the whole 30 window is stuck now. Let me quickly shut it down, close it off, and rerun it and try to connect again just for the sake of completion. I already copied my, where's my IP address? Let me just copy my public IP address. And if I come in here, let me copy. Now you're gonna see, and that's the indicator that we are not reaching to the EC2, because although my machine is able to available on the internet, but because the tunnel that or the door which allow me to enter into the instance, that is now closed. So you can see connection timeout because that door is or that port is closed, and the security group is not gonna allow me until unless I open that port, right? Okay, what I'm going to do now, I'm just going to leave it open as it is, and I'll go back to my security group, and I'm going to edit inbound rules. And what I'm going to do now, I'm going to add a rule, and I'm going to say, yeah, custom TCP, and port is going to be 2020 because that's the SSH. And by the way, if I just see, do I have, yeah, if I can just, I can even select the SSH. The only difference is gonna disable the port number, because once you select, so if you don't remember the ports, that's fine. You can just select the SSH and it's gonna select the port automatically. And we are going to reach from anywhere. So that's any IP4 you can see, but we can, like I mentioned, we can restrict on instances as well. Like I can restrict it from particular subnets which I want to allow traffic from, right? So that's another thing that you can do. But right now, because it's a dev environment, I'm comfortable allowing the communication. And now, yeah, security group is updated. Now we are able to connect to our instance through SSH, right? So let me quickly come back in here, right click restart up my session. There we go. And you can see the impact of the rule is immediate. Now it's asking me, yeah, which user I want to connect. I'm going to connect through the EC2 user, and because I've already provided my private key, so it used the private key because it's cached. So it's not going to ask me for the private key again. So now you can see, yeah, all my virtual machine is perfectly up and running. And let me quickly connect to Python 3. Yeah, import numpy, import on the SPD. Yeah, it's all working, all good. Right, so that's just a very brief overview how we're gonna use the security group, and generally we do all these things in a program scripting way. But obviously you need to understand the core concept that what's the security group, what security groups are, and what's their significance in in controlling the security of our resources in the AWS environment. And one of the best practices, always remember, only allow those ports that you are going to use it. I know it's sometimes cumbersome, like the overhead is a lot, but on the longer term it always give you benefit. And generally when the breach happen, or once the security compromise, it's always because of the some ports which are unnecessarily open for the traffic and hackers, or the cyber guys who are attacking. Even for the ethical hacking, they actually try to identify those ports, and they use them to enter or compromise the security of your resources. So feel free to reach out if you have any question. Otherwise, thanks for watching, and stay tuned for the next video, where we're gonna actually now connect to the EC2 instance, and we're gonna create the EC2 instance as well, because this video, because I already have created it, but in the next video I'm gonna show you the process to create the EC2 instance. Thanks for watching.